Albertsons.
And brought to you by
Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. It's Miller time. Albertsons and Tom Thumb, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys. Lucchese, the official bootmaker of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. Buffalo Wild Wings. And by Omni. Omni Hotels and Resorts, the official hotel of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's Victory Monday.
now your hosts, Christy Scales and Brad Shand.
Yeah, it's Victory Monday. Sure is. Look at all this. What a great crowd. Thanks to everybody for coming out to Cane Rosso in the Star District in Frisco. It's just delightful to have everybody here on Victory Monday. It's a cheap applause line, but I'm not above a cheap applause line. The Cowboys Hour is every week on Monday night, and for the rest of this month, we'll be here at Cane Rosso, and we want to welcome everybody who is here, especially. Thanks for coming out and spending part of your Monday evening with us. We want to thank everybody who is joining us wherever you are on the Cowboys Radio Network, including our listeners in Austin on the new home in Austin for the Cowboys, 102.7 ESPN, and ESPN Central Texas in Waco. And those of you joining us live or whenever it is during the week, streaming on DallasCowboys.com. Nice to see you. And please, well, if you can do that for DallasCowboys.com, what can you do for Leighton Vander Esch?
Yeah.
Not sure. I wasn't expecting a little more after a shutout and a great performance, but thank you for coming. I appreciate it very much.
No problem.
It's a physically difficult day when you get back at 4 in the morning, and you guys still had some. What work do you have to do after a night game like that?
Well, obviously we got to clean up whatever mistakes we had on the field. I know it might not seem like we didn't have very many last night, but that's part of football and part of a team sport. You always got something to clean up and something to get better at. So we got to come in, watch film, and get our quick workout in, get a little flush run, and we're out for the day. So a lot of the guys want to get it knocked out and get it over with early in the morning on Mondays, so we can have the rest of that day and Tuesday off to take care of our personal stuff off the field. So it was quick and fast.
You know, it's funny that you put it the way you did, clean up the stuff, because I think it was Babe I was talking to, Babe Laufenberg, on the bus going to the airplane after the game, and I said, wonder what the coaching points will be from this game for the defensive staff. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty close, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's different things that pop up on film here and there, but I'm a perfectionist, so and I know a lot of the guys are too, and we want to be as close to as perfect as we can. So that's what we're striving for on defense this year, and we put a good first one together. But like I said, I mean, there's always stuff to clean up and ways to build and get better. So that's exactly what we're going to do, and we got another opportunity to go do it again this week. So that's why you love football.
So, Leighton, one of the things that happens on Monday afternoon is Coach McCarthy holds a press conference, and then the coordinators as well. So we did hear from Dan Quinn today, but McCarthy led it off, and he said something very interesting that really caught my attention. And he's talked numerous times about the football fundamentals for the Dallas Cowboys, and of course one of them is big plays.
Yep.
And he said that in an average NFL game, there are 35 big play opportunities. That would be for both teams combined. And before I give the numbers for the big plays, the plus or minus for the Cowboys last night, how does the defense define big plays?
Big plays are limiting explosive plays, or obviously huge turnovers for us. So, I mean, we got to limit explosive plays, and because obviously if we limit that and we don't give them any explosive plays, they don't have any big plays. And so
I'm sorry, what's an explosive play? 10-yard run, 20-yard pass?
Yeah, 10-yard, I think over a 10-yard run and 15 or more pass, okay. I think. And so obviously if you eliminate those on defense, then we have some on offense. We're obviously going to be winning that battle. And obviously if we get a turnover, force a fumble, like sack, those are huge. Those are big plays. So it's all just the ebb and flow of the game.
So like one of the late in the game where there's one of the few completions to wide receiver by the Giants last night, and it's downfield, but then of course Trayvon Diggs forces the fumble and Israel Mukwamu recovers it. So instead of a big play for the Giants, big play for the Cowboys. But what Coach McCarthy said was that by the metrics that the coaches used in grading the film, it was a plus 21 for the Cowboys last night in the 40-0 victory. He said that it's the highest that he's ever been a part of on the winning side. How crazy is that number? Like, what would a normal number be? I mean, if you're like plus 5 or 6, that would be really good, right?
Overall? I mean, obviously, you want to be, I would say, close to double-digit in the big plays, like positive-wise.
Okay, so a plus 10 would be.
Yeah, I would say
really
that's pretty awesome for us to be winning that battle. Obviously, if you're in the positive, you're winning that battle anyways. But you don't just want to win these Cowboy fundamentals by tiny margins. You want to win those categories by a decent amount. So obviously it has that much more of an effect on a game if you're way more in those areas rather than you're winning it by 1.
Overwhelming percentage of you on your side of the ball didn't play in preseason.
Yep.
So how surprising is it then to have such an efficient game without having played any meaningful football since last January? I
think it's just a telltale sign of how we practice and how hard we practice, how close, how tight-knit our group is. This is our 3rd year together under DQ's system. So, we should know how everybody plays, and really it's ultimately how we come out there and practice and prepare every single day. So that's what we've been putting together, and we've just been all chomping at the bit to get out there on the field and be in an actual game setting, because a lot of us didn't get that chance in the preseason. But for us, if you prepare and you practice the way you should, it really don't matter.
Was there one particular play early in the game last night that was a tone setter, in your opinion?
Really, it was a block. It was a blocked field goal out the gates. They were getting down the field a little bit on us, but really, if you just give us a chance, if you give us a shot, don't matter if it's 4th and 1 on the goal line and they're about you just give us a blade of grass and give us a shot to do something special, and it's going to happen. And that's kind of something that we've been hanging our hats on this whole offseason and in the training camp. In our competitive periods against the offense, and that just makes the whole team better. But that atmosphere that we have on defense and bleeding into the offense, it's amazing, and I love being part of this group.
You really smile and light up when you talk about that, the chemistry, and you talked about it a little bit last year. You were on the program at the very end of the year, and what is it about the chemistry and how you guys work together and what you've accomplished on the field that kind of lights your inner fire like that?
Yeah, I think really just the respect and the love that everybody has in this group for each other. For us to have the calibers of players that we have on our defense and to be able to keep our group together for as long as we had is special, and you don't see that happen very often. So the fact that we've kept everybody together, I think it just everybody knows. They probably DQ could have went and got a head coaching job anywhere he wanted, really. And there's so many players on this defense that could have went and signed contracts on different teams. But we wanted to keep this crew together because we know we can accomplish something special. And so that's what I think separates our group from everybody else around the NFL, is how close and tight-knit we are. And obviously we just got a bunch of dogs on defense that love playing ball. So.
But there you go. With Dan Quinn, there was something interesting that happened near the very end of the game last night that in 25 years on the sideline, as a Cowboys sideline reporter, I had never seen, and that is Dan Quinn, as the defensive coordinator, is calling the signals into your radio helmet, because you're the green dot relaying the calls, but he does it from up in the booth.
Yep.
And, of course, the coaches stay up there through the end of the game, right? But last night was such a blowout.
Well, the end of the game was about the third quarter.
Well, yeah, middle of the third quarter. So Dan waited a little longer. No, at about the 2-minute warning, or they're on the sideline, and the players, down the right sideline are the tunnels. And all that's left in the fourth quarter out of 82,000 people are about 8,000 Cowboys fans.
Yeah.
And they're all around the tunnel and behind the Cowboys bench. And there's this loud cheer and Dan and DQ. And running out the tunnel is Dan Quinn, who's already left the booth and has come down the elevator and is running out to the sideline. And the ovation that he got from the Cowboys fans there, now maybe it's because he wears his hat backwards and everybody recognized him very quickly, but I had never seen that in a game where the coaches leave the booth early. But it's obvious that the affection that the Cowboys fans have for DQ, but I'd love for you to talk about what the players think of him.
Yeah, obviously we have so much love and respect for DQ, his energy that he brings. I've said this from the moment he stepped in the building. The energy he brings, his personality. The second he walks into a room, it don't matter. I mean, you can tell. There's some days like last year where I could tell he was just dog tired because he'd been working in the office all night, just studying, making a game plan. But it doesn't matter how tired the guy is. Like, he brings his energy is always 110%, and he can walk in that room and capture you in an instant. And it don't matter how tired you are, it'll wake you up in a split second. So, everybody has respect for him, and it's special to have a coach like him because they don't come around very often. But it's a two-way street because for him to stay here and want to coach us again this year and this season, he knows what we can accomplish, and we know it ourselves. So it's a constant two-way street of just feeding off of our energy, feeding off the coach's energy, and good things happen when you got a group like that together.
So a lot of your teammates have very well-stated, lofty hopes and maybe as far as expectations for what you can accomplish as a group as well as a team. How do you read those expectations? How do you read them? How do you manage them early in the year? Are you thinking everybody's thinking winning a championship? Are you thinking about, we're going to show we're in the conversation with the great defenses of all time, and if that's the answer, how do you do that?
I mean, our ultimate goal is to go get that Super Bowl trophy. That's in the forefront of our minds always. But we have to climb 19 potentially. I mean, if you have a first-round bye, is that what, 19 games?
Yeah.
To get to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
You have to climb that many peaks throughout the whole season to get to the top.
Actually, it'd be one more. It'd be 20, right?
20?
You'd
20 is the Super Bowl.
You'd get a bye to the division.
Yeah.
Then you win that, and you win the championship, then you win the Super Bowl.
Exactly. So every game, you got to climb that peak, and it's just that peak that's in front of us in that moment. And so that's our goal and our accomplishment for that week is to go out there and practice and put together the best practice we can that day, and then it goes in the next day. And then it goes into that, obviously, eventually the game day. And so you take care of that one, then it's on to the next one. But right now, our sole focus is we clean that film up from last night's game, and now our sole focus, we're moving on to the Jets. So this is the peak that we got to climb, and they're in front of us, so we got to go take care of them, and it's going to be the next one the next week.
Okay, you bring up several interesting things which we are going to address after we take a break. We are on the Cowboys Hour at Cane Rosso in the Star District with Leighton Vander Esch, the Cowboys' outstanding, still young linebacker. You look still young to me. We'll be right back. Can I have one?
The Miller Lite Cowboys Hour.
To the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons.
And when it comes time to shop for tailgate favorites, go to Albertsons and Tom Thumb. Get 10% off your groceries every Dallas Cowboys game day when you wear your Cowboys jersey. Albertsons and Tom Thumb, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys. And when you go to Albertsons and Tom Thumb this Sunday, make sure you're wearing your number 55 Leighton Vander Esch Cowboys jersey. He is our special guest tonight on the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour. I'm Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales, joined by Brad Sham, longtime voice of the Dallas Cowboys, 45 years now for Brad.
This is 45.
And, yeah, 45 years. So, Leighton,
awesome.
one thing that you were talking about just a few minutes ago was one of the cats, the tone setter, was the field goal that was blocked. Wanye Thomas blocked it. And Noah Igbenogany, I know I'm going to blow it. I knew it.
I'm too sleepy.
Yeah. Noah, number 19, acquired in the trade from
I sure as hell couldn't say it last night.
Yeah,
I know that.
the Miami Dolphins returned it for
Igbenogany.
Igbenogany, that one. So here's the thing. Wanye Thomas, guys like Marquise Bell, who got a lot of playing time, and it was their the regular season debut for Wanye Thomas. It seems like those guys, not only were they very productive, but there's a certain kind of brashness in their style of play. Would you agree with that? And how do you think they fit in with the kind of tone-setting, catalytic kind of defense that you want to be?
I mean, it was kind of obvious throughout this whole preseason that Ye was out there flying around making plays. It was just unbelievable to see the type of player that he had become and just really just growing into his shoes and into his role. And just starring in the moments and the opportunity that he had in front of him and being able to go out there and make the most of it. That's awesome having guys like that on the team because you know it matters to them. And they have all the care in the world to go out there and play their butt off for all the guys on the defense, the coaches, everybody. And Bell, obviously, in his situation, I mean, we pretty much just moved him to linebacker from a safety. The safety room's full of just crazy athletes. And so it shows you the versatility that we have in that room, and just that speaks for our whole defense because we have guys that can play everywhere. So Bell coming in, and in a short amount of time that he's truly been a linebacker now, I guess you could say, how quick he's caught on just speaks to that athlete that he is and how intelligent he is to be able to come and do that because it's not easy.
You know, as you talk about that, I'm thinking this is part of the genius of Dan Quinn, it seems to me, in addition to the motivational. I mean, if you think back to just last year, DeMarcus Lawrence breaks his foot or whatever he did in practice on Wednesday of week 2. And that's when Micah Parsons became Micah Parsons, who was already an outstanding player. But he became the pass rusher out of necessity. And Dan looks at guys like Bell and Overshown, and he sees linebackers where there are safeties. That's a really unusual trait, it seems to me.
Yeah, guys that have long frames and are super rangy can play all over the field. Doesn't matter if it's a corner playing safety or a safety playing linebacker or a linebacker playing defensive end. Anywhere. I mean, you just look for those type of athletes, and you can develop them. And that's exactly what this coaching staff has done, is they look for those type of guys.
There are a couple of things that we touched on in the first segment I want to go back and revisit. And one of those is very big picture, because some of your teammates talk very openly about being viewed as a generational defense. People talk about the Ravens of 2000, or most of your teammates are too young to remember the 85 Bears, but there's the Legion of Boom and that kind of thing. So how realistic do you think that is, and what does that kind of talk mean to you, and does it motivate you at all?
Really, I mean, obviously our group is special, and we should do special things, but that only means so much because we have to just come out and prove it every single week. So really, I mean, we the sky's the limit for us. I will say that but we have to come out and put in the work every single day. It doesn't matter what we did last week. It doesn't matter what we did last night. We have to come do this against the Jets this week. And obviously, I mean, they got a phenomenal roster, probably one of the best in the league. And so it's going to be a good test for us. But we have to come and put stuff on showcase week after week. Otherwise, all the talk doesn't matter. So really, that's the way I look at it.
So there is that's a really easy thing to say, and human nature is one that when you have a performance like your group did last night,
Yep.
guys are going to come, well, look at what we did. Look, this is who we are. We're pretty good. Mm-hmm. What I hear you saying is many of you have absorbed the notion that as soon as you start thinking that way,
Yep.
you no longer are it.
But
that requires a kind of a group maturity, doesn't it, that
Yeah.
everybody doesn't have?
And that's really just tells you that. I mean, that's our third year together. And really, I want to say everybody has that same mindset on our defense, coaches included. But, I mean, as soon as you think that you're the best is when you're going to get your butt kicked the next week. And anybody can win any week in the NFL, and that's what makes the NFL such a crazy beast, is it doesn't matter who you're playing. Anybody can win any week. So we have to be disciplined, and everybody has to do their job. And it starts in practice on Wednesday. It starts in film review or film watching tonight when we get home. So got to get ahead of the game and watch as much film as you can in this game plan that they have coming for us on Wednesday for practice, so we can go out there on Wednesday and have an effective practice, and that leads into Thursday. So, it's step-by-step process, and that's how I break it down.
Okay, there are because this is Victory Monday. Everybody wake up. It's Victory Monday. We're talking to Leighton Vander Esch. So there are a couple of aspects of last night's game I would like to hear you address before we get on to other topics. One is the game didn't start the way you wanted it to, and certainly the way 3/4 of it went, or even more. But they had a lot of success moving the ball on that first possession. So you guys know people are going to try to run the ball, blah, blah, blah. What are you thinking individually and collectively as that first drive is unfolding?
Really just settling in, because we knew. I mean, it's the NFL. I mean, the other team is going to get. I mean, they're all professional football players too. So like, they're going to have their plays, like they're going to get some throughout the game. And really, that was our first full drive of game reps with our group this season. So I think it was just settling in, and these first few games of the season, it's all going to be unscouted looks too. And pretty much like they did the whole game, it seemed like they were doing unscouted looks the whole game. And so it just comes down to doing your job and your role in that play, every single play. So, I mean, they were moving the ball a little bit, but like I said, you just give us a blade of grass and you give us an opportunity, and we're going to make something happen.
So that leads me to the one other psychological thing about the game, and Babe and I both talked about it, is the third quarter started, because it was almost tangible that it didn't matter what the score became. You guys wanted to stay on the field and get the shutout. It became important to you. And at the same time, you can see they're beaten. Their body language just changed. You took all the fight out of them. So how do you maintain that intensity when the other team is almost not participating with you?
I mean, to hold a team to 0 points in the NFL is pretty special. And obviously, I mean, they added weapons this offseason in their free agency. And they got good weapons. They got good pieces to make their team better. And don't get me wrong, I think they're going to be a great team this year. I think they're going to be right back in the playoffs like they were last year. But you brought up the intensity part, which I was going to mention when you guys brought up DQ coming down from the box towards the end of the game. And a lot of people would think, okay, like we put some of the young guys in and it's their shot and just kind of whatever happens. But DQ came down on the field and he was just as intense as he was up in the box. It was like it didn't matter. He was like, they are getting no points.
Right.
And So he just brought his intensity from the box down on the field, and then it was just like everybody was like, okay, like they really ain't scoring any points. And so that was kind of fun to see. I mean, having him there on the sidelines with us, with all the older guys, and just feeding off of his energy. And obviously it was bleeding down into the young guys that were getting their opportunities on the field because, I mean, you don't want any slough off from the first group to the second group. They can all play ball. We can all play ball. And it don't matter if someone goes down, the next man's up. And that's what you want to see. So that intensity carrying over from the coaches to players. Doesn't matter what the score is. If we're up 50-0, 40-0, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter.
Because you're the one that hears Dan in your ear in the radio helmet, the green dot. Can you ever tell if you're up by 40 or if it's an even game and it's going to be the final play of the game? Or is he steady Eddie in terms of how you hear the calls?
He's steady. He's steady. Obviously, if we have opportunities to get the momentum, or if we have the momentum, I mean, he's right there in your ear too with that, and I think he does a great job of feeding off our energy as well on the defense. So that's just what makes him such a special coach, is because I feel like he's just spot on with every moment and what you think it should be. Just the image that you can paint in your mind of an elite coach that's just always dialed in, and his intensity is unmatched, his energy is unmatched. That is DQ.
There you go. Leighton Vander Esch is our guest on the Cowboys Hour this evening. We are at Cane Rosso in the Star District in Frisco. If you're here, you'll have an opportunity to ask Leighton a question live a little bit later in the show, and we'll be right back.
Go Cowboys!
Back to Cane Rosso in the Star District. I'm Brad Sham with Christy Scales and our special guest, Leighton Vander Esch, on Victory Monday. Victory Monday.
The Miller Lite Cowboys Hour is supported by Lucchese, the official bootmaker of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And we also want to remind Cowboys fans coming to this Sunday's Jets-Cowboys home opener that this is the Cowboys Hispanic Heritage Game. So pregame in the Miller Lighthouse, not only will you see the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders in their Lucchese boots, but the Squeezebox Bandits will be performing. They'll also the Cowboys Rhythm and Blues dancers, 107.5 La Grande will be out there with some activations. And then throughout the day, there will be mariachis and ballet folklorico dancers. And it's just a great way. It's something that the NFL and the Cowboys do every September. And so, again, this weekend is the Hispanic Heritage Game, and it's the Jets coming to town. And you mentioned about preparing for the Jets a little earlier, Leighton, and going against one of the best all-time, Aaron Rodgers, and it'll be his first road game as a Jet. And I think Cowboys fans are very excited to see this defense go against one of the all-time greats. Do you personally get excited about that, or are you trying to keep the even keel and it's just the next opponent?
No, I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited, and I know everybody else is too. But obviously we can't let our emotions or our nerves affect our even keel of play during the game. It's exciting to play against caliber players like Aaron Rodgers, Dalvin Cook, and what they've added to their team this offseason. And so it's going to be a great test for us. But that's why I'm excited, and that's why I think a lot of guys are excited, because it's a good test to see where we're at week after week. And so, like going into last night's game, opening the season with a running back the caliber of Saquon, it tests, okay, like I look at that as a great opportunity to see where my tackling's at to start the season, obviously, because, I mean, we didn't have any live game reps to tackle someone and bring him to the ground. And so being able to open the season like that, I try and pick something out of every game like that. And for me, it was tackling for us right out the gate against a running back like Saquon, because obviously he's super shifty. He's a versatile player, super dynamic. They can use him in the pass game, run game, wherever. And so being able to test yourself in those ways, I think it's fun. And obviously we got a huge one this coming week with Aaron Rodgers and Dalvin Cook and some of their receivers. So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
I'm glad you mentioned the tackling, because that's one of the things that Coach Quinn specifically pointed out in the press conference today. Just 2 missed tackles, which is a low number in the season opener, as you say, when you haven't been able to tackle. But I got another Aaron Rodgers question for you, and that is because obviously you've faced him numerous times when he was with the Packers. But as you're watching film of a guy like this and studying him, what is it that you most appreciate about his game?
I think just his age and how mobile he still is, because he can create stuff. He can create stuff on his feet still, like he's one of the youngest quarterbacks in the league, it seems like. And so you really got to be in your A game and your plaster and making sure. Sorry, I'll bring up a word that we use. Plaster is staying on your man post snap if the quarterback scrambles. And so that's just a term we use, that you plaster on your man and you stick to your man. And it's tough because when a quarterback can make a play, can extend a play after he's gotten out of the pocket and scramble around for however long, it's hard staying with your receiver or your man when they literally can just run wherever on the field. And so that's what I think makes playing against him difficult.
You mentioned the tackling. This fascinates me. It wasn't very many years ago. This preseason keeps evolving, the way it's treated. And I remember, I know that Sean Lee's an important guy to you. He helped break you in. And
yep.
I remember it couldn't have been just a few years ago that I talked to Sean and Zach Martin and a few other guys about as people were being used less and less starters in preseason games, what do you guys want? Do you want to play in the preseason? Do you need it? And I remember Sean, I think Zach too, but I remember Sean Lee telling me for sure, I'd like to have, now I think you were still playing 4 preseason games. I think he said, I'd actually like to have, now this is Sean who gets up wanting to tackle somebody, but I think he said, I'd like to have about 12 to 15 snaps in one game and maybe 20 to 25 in another one, and then I think I'm kind of ready. So now none of you guys is seeing the field ever again because it's just too dangerous.
Yeah.
Where do you fall on how do you practice tackling, and what does preseason do for you, and what would you like to see it be?
How you practice. It really is ultimately, I said it earlier, I think just putting on display what we did last night is how we practice. And so whether or not we have run periods during practice where we have an opportunity to obviously fit our run plays, but not just tagging off on them. Like, put yourself in position in practice every single play. If you have an opportunity to make a tackle, put yourself in the best position possible realistically. If you were going to take that guy to the ground, put yourself in that position every single time. And whether or not in practice, whether or not you're going to make that tackle or not. And so, or at least I do. And so if I had a play where I'm like, I probably ain't making that tackle, the next one, if I get in that same position, I'm going to try to get an extra step or get closer, put my chest on him, wrap him up. Don't take him to the ground, but just put my hands on him and feel what that feels like to wrap him up as much as you can. Because I think the problem where these teams or these guys get in bad habits of just tagging off on them is because they forget what wrapping up feels like and how much strength that takes play after play. So being able to do that in practice is important. And so if you can do that, I think it'll take care of itself. But obviously getting some game reps probably helps.
Yeah, I think most NFL fans would be surprised to know that there are rules about how many padded practices that you can have during an NFL season, which is 18 weeks, because now it's 17 regular season games, and then, of course, the bye week. And unless they change the rules with the collective bargaining, or I think it's still 14, right?
Yep.
14 padded practices in an entire regular season for these guys to work on those types of things. But I want to go, Brad mentioned Sean Lee and that he was an important person to you. And I want to know what it's like to now be the Sean Lee for these young guys. Because 6 years in, you're basically the granddad of the linebackers and among the granddads of the entire defense.
Yeah. It hit me hard this year, and I said this last year when we did this across the street, how I thought our group was young in the linebacker room. And this year we are way younger, even younger. We got Damone in his second year, Bell in his second year, and Devin in his second year. And then I'm
and Pops
the
here.
old guy, I guess.
And Pops, Leighton Vander Esch.
Like, we're a young group, but I think that's just what makes our group special is I don't feel old. I guess as far as experience, being able to help those guys and coach them up is super awesome. It's a cool perspective to take a step back and kind of reminisce and reflect on where you've been in your career and how fast the years have gone, who you've played with, who you've played against. And you just learn. It's just constant learning experiences, constant things that you can just take and put in your toolbox. And obviously when I was playing from Sean, playing with Sean, I learned so much from him and just so many little cheats and tools that I could just take and put in my toolbox. And that's something I tell the young guys, like, don't try and put it all in your toolbox at one time because it's never going to work. You got to take one thing, you got to practice that, or you got to hone in on that and focus on that during practice, or pick one thing before you go out to practice and say, I want to get better at this. Add that to your toolbox. And then, or if it's a bigger thing, practice that week. And you got to add those little things, your toolbox, and eventually over time, you're going to have things that you can lean on. And that's kind of your identity in your game and what you're good at, and just your development in football. And so I'm still learning things. I'm obviously still trying to be the best player I possibly can. So that's just something I love teaching the young guys and helping them with. And it's fun.
Well,
It's a great time.
Can you give us a specific example? Let's say it's in a game.
Yep.
And you're saying something where you're the one doing the talking now, where in the first few years you probably were doing the listening. What would be an example?
Yeah. Really, for young guys, how these teams attack young guys is they try and get their eyes going 100 different places, whether it's a jet sweep or a motion. They flip the offensive formation, whatever it may be. In the end, they're going to build whatever look or whatever play they want to do. They're just going to make it look different, whether it's week to week, different teams. A lot of them run the same stuff. They just make it look different. So they try and get your eyes going 100 different places, making you second guess and not get your key. But ultimately, it comes down to that pre-snap communication and knowing what you can get post-snap, but making sure your eyes are in the right place when they snap the ball. Seeing a little bit is seeing a lot. And so these young guys, sometimes they get their eyes swirling, and it's just locking in and focusing, alerting them, okay, we could get a swap from both ways here. Pre-snap communication is so important, and getting them to just lock in and not just be locked in on one thing pre-snap when they snap the ball, I think is super important. And so just helping them to expand their vision and be able to talk to everybody on the field, not just me as a linebacker communicating back and forth, communicating with the safeties, communicating with the nickels, the corners. Obviously, we've got to get the front lined up and make sure they're in the right look and the right adjustments. There's so many things that go on in that 5 to 10 seconds before the offense snaps the ball. Not a lot of people can handle it. And so having the guys that can handle that on our team, and as young as they are, just getting them up to speed, that's part of what being a vet is about, and getting those young guys to bridge the gap.
What year are you, year 7?
It's 6.
6? So 4 years ago, if I had asked you if you would find yourself in this position as the teacher and the leader and all that, what would you have said?
This fast, I don't know if – I mean, I take pride in being intelligent and being able to communicate at an elite level in every aspect of my game. And so picking up on that and obviously learning from Sean, I had to – and kind of being thrown in the fire my rookie year, I had to learn fast. Otherwise, things weren't going to go well. And obviously I dealt with some injuries along the way, but those were all growing moments, and being able to do just take a step back and see where my game was. And so now looking at it and being thrust into this position maybe a little bit earlier than I would have expected Sean coming in, he played 11 years. It is crazy, but I thrive in those moments, I feel like, and I've embraced being in this position and being able to just be a mentor to some of the guys and help them get up to speed, and because we need everybody. If we're gonna make this Super Bowl run, everybody on our team's got to play, and so that's what it's about.
You were probably put in this spot for a reason.
Yeah.
Most of that stuff happens that way.
Yeah.
Most of that stuff happens that way. Leighton Vander Esch is our guest on the Cowboys Hour tonight. We're at Cane Rosso in the Star District. Your questions for Leighton when we come back.
Go Cowboys! Back to the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons.
Welcome back to Victory Monday on the Cowboys Hour. Brad Sham, Christy Scales, and our very special guest, Cowboys linebacker Leighton Vander Esch.
And the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour is supported by Papa John's. It's big, it's good, and it's only for Cowboys fans. The Cowboys special from the Cowboys and Papa John's Pizza. A large one-topping pizza for only $9.99, so order today. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys.
We do have a microphone to pass among those of you who are here at Cane Rosso. We'll get to you in just a moment. But I do have one other thing I'd like to hear Leighton comment on. And I've said this to you before, it's such a treat to have watched the evolution of your career. And as you just outlined, everything you've been through, the injuries, everything else. And so when I think of Leighton Vander Esch now, I think of intensity. That's the first word that I think of when I apply it to your play. Passion, and I think of discipline. And I was thinking of discipline today because my longtime statistician, Bob Thomas, been with me over 35 years. He said, I heard you say Leighton was going to be on the program, and I thought you might be interested in this. In 6 years, you know how many penalties you've had called on you?
2?
That's actually 4, but one of those was on a punt return. So this man, he's the middle linebacker, folks. Yeah. He has been called for 3 penalties in his career playing defense.
He's the Zach Martin of the Cowboys defense.
That's exactly what I was thinking. But here's the point. To play the way you play, with the intensity with which you play and the physicality with which you play, and still maintain that kind of discipline, how does that happen?
I think just preparation, ultimately. Film study and just getting your body ready to play every single week and being intense in your focus. If you prepare the right way, I think that's going to put you in the best position possible to go out there and be extremely effective and be in the right position at the right time every play. Obviously, like, there's going to be some plays that there's some gray in, where you might have a bad read or here and there, or you might get a little bit behind your man. But that your preparation will limit your mistakes. And so I think a penalty is a mistake in a way. You can make an argument whether it's a combative penalty or a discipline penalty. But really just being disciplined and knowing the rules of the game, what you can and can't do, and just being in the right position and where you should be on that play.
It's a credit. It's a credit to you. Okay, Joe Trahan's got the mic. Let's get some questions for Leighton.
Hey, Leighton. My name is Corey. My question is, Dan talked about, using you as a pass rusher a little bit this season. So can you talk about, just that transition a little bit? Like, how do you feel like it can help elevate your game to the next level and make the defense even more diverse?
But before you answer that question, I want everybody to know Corey is here every week. Corey's a big fan. Corey is decked out in a very handsome royal blue Cowboys T-shirt and a Cowboys cap and a pair of Trayvon Diggs basketball shorts. Why are they not Leighton Vander Esch basketball shorts?
It's all good.
Just kidding.
Everybody's got their player.
Just kidding, Corey. Yeah. No, just kidding.
I wish I could give you the full answer to that, but I will say it has been extremely fun being able to develop underneath Dan's system and really just the type of player he wants you to become. I take pride in being dynamic and being able to play wherever, do whatever they ask of me, do whatever he asks of me, and be effective at it. So I don't want to get too far into specifics. It's early in the season, and so I'm a big thing. I'm a big guy. Keeping things in house.
That's good. How did he bring that to you? Did he come to you in the offseason and say, you know what? Let me tell you what I'm thinking about.
No comment.
Wow.
Or did you go to him?
Okay. Which would be all
really,
right, too.
it's just under development. It's just broadening your game and just being the most dynamic player you can under his system.
Micah is in there lobbying for offensive plays on a nearly daily basis. Why would it not be okay for you to say, I can rush the passer too a little bit if you need?
Well, I can say that. But like I said, it's been fun being able to develop kind of a new area of my game that not a lot of people have, or not a lot of coaches have spent time on.
Okay, another question.
Good evening, Leighton. My name is Rambo. So you were saying that you guys are a special group of guys doing special things. What special things are you guys doing so Aaron Rodgers and the Jets don't figure you guys out next week?
Really, it's just our disguise and mannerism, I think. I don't want to, they're asking hard questions.
You can't. Well, this is a very astute audience, I'll have you know.
I mean, right now, we're probably, they're giving us the game plan tonight, and we can start watching film. And so I think that's what's going to separate our group, is because a lot of teams have already they're taking Monday night, and they're probably going to take Tuesday off. We don't do that. We're already preparing mentally. A lot of guys are probably going to be on their iPad tonight watching film on the Jets.
Here's the
something special.
The brains of the defense right here, Leighton Vander Esch, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Yep.
Appreciate you being here. We'll be back next Monday at Cane Rosso. For Christy Scales, I'm Brad Sham, and that's this week's Cowboys Hour.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this,